Why does someone decide to become spiritual? And what does it even mean? Hello friends, my name is Vas Solo. Welcome to Why Spirit Matters. In this video, I'm going to talk about the spiritual path and what it actually is. Now, in my last video, I talked about the three main levels of consciousness and how they affect our experience of reality. To summarize, superconsciousness is the one all-pervading reality and the source of all awareness. Our conscious and subconscious minds simply reduce its resolution, and thus we end up seeing a highly subjective and limited version of reality. The Hindu scriptures call this phenomenon avidya, which means lack of knowledge or ignorance. And they say that it's precisely because of that ignorance that we suffer. Here's an example. Imagine that a person that you've been dating for the last 3 years suddenly breaks up with you. You're crushed, you're devastated, you're angry. You wonder, why did this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? Then fast forward 5 years in the future and you've met someone new, both of you are madly in love, and that breakup is a distant memory. In hindsight, it was actually a good thing that that person broke up with you because it allowed you to meet the love of your life. But when it first happened, you couldn't see it that way. Why? Because your attachment blinded you to the bigger picture. This is one example of ignorance. Here's another example. Take someone who's worked their entire life to become rich and successful. When they made their first million, they felt proud and accomplished. So they kept working hard and building more and more wealth. And yet no matter how much money they made, it never felt like it was enough. Eventually, they reached the end of their life, they've made more money than they thought was possible, and yet they still feel like something is missing. Why is that? Thinking that the objects of this finite and temporal world can grant us permanent and lasting fulfillment is another example of ignorance. Howard Hughes was a famous billionaire inventor who knew all the celebrities, who seemingly had the world in the palm of his hands. And yet, near the end of his life, when a reporter asked him whether he was happy, he said, "No, I can't say that I am." Here's a man who had everything and yet remained unfulfilled. We suffer because we live in a finite, self-created world of our numberless mental impressions which endlessly agitate our mind. Because we identify with these impressions, we no longer experience ourselves as pure consciousness, the essence of our being. This is painful. We may not realize it, but our fundamental drive is to experience our limitless and infinite self. That's why there's always this feeling inside that more remains to be done, accomplished, and acquired. A person who wants wealth wants infinite wealth. Someone seeking knowledge seeks infinite knowledge. And no one wants just a little bit of happiness. We all want infinite happiness. And that's what brings some people to the spiritual path. They finally realize that lasting happiness cannot be found in the outside world. This happened to me. Since I was young, I felt a deep longing that I couldn't explain for something that I couldn't find in the outside world, which made me deeply unhappy and unfulfilled, and ended up becoming a drug addict and alcoholic. Then 3 years ago, I finally went into the 12-step program, I worked the 12 steps, and as a result, I had a spiritual awakening. Then I started doing yoga, meditating, and gradually expanding my consciousness. And as layer after layer of mental conditioning dissolved, I began to have a fuller and more fulfilling experience of life. And my desire to use drugs and alcohol disappeared. So that's what the spiritual path is. It's us moving towards infinity by gradually expanding our consciousness. Some do it unconsciously through the lens of their mental conditioning, while others do it consciously by trying to transcend that conditioning. One waters the branches, the other waters the roots. That's why a self-realized yogi could sit in meditation for hours and be perfectly happy, while someone like Howard Hughes, who has everything, can't find peace. Now, transcending our conditioning isn't easy. In order to be successful, we need a map, a plan, and a means of getting to our destination. And that's what the genuine spiritual path provides. But that's a topic for another video. For now, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. I upload one video like this every Sunday talking about the spiritual path and what we can do to transcend our limitations and live a more meaningful life. Thanks for watching and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you next time.